Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Rising Laterally podcast. This is Arjun Sachdev.
And this is Jay Baloo. We hope you find something here that offers you new meaning or a fresh perspective.
If you do, we encourage you to give it life.
Be bold.
Experiment.
And most importantly, bring it into the interactions with the people you surround yourself with.
And see what happens.
Happy holidays, Jay Baloo.
Happy holidays, Arjun. Good to have you here, man.
Oh, man. This is awesome. So we finally decided to do this.
We're in person right now together for the first time in the entirety of Rising Laterally's run. So this is kind of a big moment, dude.
Huge.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't seen each other since we started talking about this back in like April. It really came together in terms of like real episodes in like June, July, August timeframe. And we've never seen each other like throughout this whole thing.
I know. It's incredible to like start down such a long road with someone, start such a big project and not be able to have any moments of connection face to face. But I'm sure there's a lot of people in 2020 that have embarked down the same kind of road, dude, starting some kind of partnership without having that face-to-face interaction, you know?
Face to no face. Yeah, some people.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
so we got tested and we decided that it was important for like this holiday time frame for us to get together and like just recap the year, like the half year that we've been doing this has been awesome. I mean, super grateful for just like the fact that we were able to just start and do it. And then the feedback that we've been getting, the support, it's like really humbling and really just can't wait to keep doing it. So I thought like, it was important that we actually got together for this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There was definitely a moment to celebrate, and I think there's just a lot of gratitude for both of us after having been in this for 6 months now. You know, it's not always easy. Different episodes get different kinds of reactions, different kind of plays. So there's a lot of experimentation that goes into it. But when you have those moments where people reach out and say like, you know, I learned something meaningful here, or you know, they give you some kind of positive feedback, like it goes such a long way psychologically when you're so out on a limb doing something like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's so new to you.
So new, but there's a long way to go too. But it's like you could just like think about the fact that even from like logo design, right, like thinking about colors and all that, and you see it goes from an idea to a reality and an actual physical thing. You see it like pop up. It's pretty cool. But again, I mean, we're just getting started. And my favorite part's actually been the guests because everyone's been so interesting. Like, that's the best part. Like, I'm me, right? You, just by being you, you're automatically unique to me, bro.
So true.
Right? So, like, right off the bat, you're going to have something. So I just think the guests have, you know, really made a big difference. And again, learned a lot from them as well, because like we're learning from our guests and it's like we want everyone to learn alongside with us. So as we engage with our guests, we read their books or whatever the case may be, it's like, yeah, we did that. We did the prep work for that. And we're going to bring the conversation to life. But at the same time, we are the audience as well.
For sure, dude. Absolutely. They're having the same impact on us that they're having on the audience with their words. Like those, I'm talking about them being unique people. Those are, you know, unique people to everyone except them, dude. So it's actually kind of a lesson in the significance of giving people a microphone and giving people a platform. It makes you kind of just think about how you could put a microphone in a lot of people that don't have a microphone right now, and something really fascinating will come out of their mouths, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The guests have been, I feel like lucky to have connected with that many people.
I feel lucky to be enjoying this Ardbeg 10 with you as well.
I feel especially lucky since
happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays, brother. So you got feelings on like an episode in the last, what is it, like 13, 14 year where we had a guest on that you've really seen give you a shift in perspective in like a lasting way?
Yeah, I would say just even this road trip up, dude, it was like that story about our groceries and where they come from that Benjamin Moore wrote. like when you're driving down the highway, first of all, there's like no stay-at-home order, bro. Everyone's out on the roads, all right?
I know, dude.
Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is you see all these trucks, but back in the day, it was like those trucks were more like Walmart trucks. Now they're Amazon trucks, and the Amazon truck actually has something that says like, "Oh, there's more to Prime. There's a whole truckload more to Prime." And it's like, yeah, dude, there sure is a whole side story to the trucker's life that people don't know or realize or really think about. And you have all these packages going back and forth right now for Christmas time. And like most of us just, if we were able to just hit a couple clicks and, the package is going to be delivered. But we don't realize like that whole, like that world. And so I would say recently that's been an entire shift. And then it's so recent for me because literally just happened the other day driving up, just seeing all these trucks. I couldn't help but think about it.
Totally, dude.
Yeah. What about you?
Like grateful for the position we're in America and in history to be able to have the kind of abundance that we do. But I would say, of all the episodes, the one we had 2 weeks ago with Richard Lang, that one has been really sticking with me a lot. He covers the headless way and the sort of sense of experiencing yourself from a place of nothingness, really everything around you, everything that makes up the content of your consciousness is sort of the something that's filling the vessel of you, which is nothing at core. And that's really helped me, I think, see people to be at a fundamental level identical to me. Like it's like all the layers of your psychology and your behaviors and things we may disagree on, that's all just sort of a layer on top of what you are at the most fundamental, which is exactly what I am, dude.
Yeah.
So it's just really makes it a lot easier, I think, to connect with people and to sort of see the differences between you is not that significant,
Right. There's definitely that element of it. And then the other element of thinking headless is also that it's all coming from within you. So there's like a famous painting out there. It's a man in a suit. In most cases, it's a man in a suit and the head is like decapitated, but from the head, there's all these colors coming out in a very like artful, expressive way. And, a lot of people have that like as backgrounds or, they've seen this picture, but to me, that's headless. That's living headless because from within you, the entire creativity of you, all your entire world comes out. So yeah, for sure. In terms of one level, it's like we can connect because of that oneness factor. But on the other end, it's like, you're so powerful. You're so powerful because it all exists from you. And the creativity you want to bring to the table comes from you. And going back to the original point, like you just being you're automatically unique to me. So you're already a fascinating other to me.
Right. And what that makes me really realize is like, to your point about me being like a unique person you're encountering now relative to you. So there's all these different data points of my life, different experiences, different memories, different personality traits that differ from yours. It's like your best bet is just being yourself. Because if you see someone and then you instantly try to shape your personality towards them so you can better like mirror them, it's like, well, you've given away your advantage when it comes to being fascinating, which is your difference, dude. If you instantly try to tell them a story that you think they'll like, or talk about bands or movies that, again, aren't your favorite, but you throw on the table because you think that they'll get a positive reaction with them, you miss that connection for them to see you for who you are, which would probably be pretty fascinating to them.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's easy to make the mistake of trying to relate to someone by making a sports reference.
Yeah,
like that is a way of doing something that's so blanket, right? It's just a blanket statement that may create a connection. But it's like, no, that's not actually the connection. Imagine if you broke the ice with someone by talking about how at the center we're all nothing, but at the same time, that's where everything is coming from.
Yeah, you can have it different.
That's a great experience. That's a great start to a conversation.
Right.
Better than like you taking a 50-50 shot that the other person understands your sports joke or reference. And like, that's why people talk about the weather, dude, because there's nothing really to talk about there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly, dude. And you know what the funny thing is about that? I've been breaking it up over something that's been a part of the show since Lisa came on, talking about inner world, outer world. Probably actually been talking about it before Lisa Marciano came on, but it's just the idea of like the topics that come up for conversation show a lot about the nature of your relationship with someone and where you're at in that relationship. And I think a lot of times people can retreat into the outer world conversations, like the weather or like sports or politics, things that have to do with everything going on out there, when they don't want to talk about something that involves the emotional side of both of you. And you see that it's so funny. After you have a big fight with someone, you'll know. I feel like I notice after the situation's kind of been diffused, the first thing you talk about is like a super outer world thing. It's like, so what's when do you got to show up for work tomorrow? I think there's something there in terms of seeing the conversations you have with people through the lens of, are they outer world or are they inner world? And what does that say about where we might be right now in our connection?
Yeah, I wonder if that, so you mentioned, because like when you're really talking about outer world stuff, like it brings an emotion to you, but it's not really talking about emotions. So you can talk about politics and that makes you emotional, but you're not talking about your emotions behind the politics.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And so I'm saying, I think that like we are now seeing a shift in our ability to even identify these emotions, to be able to talk to them. So I think like we're at this cusp of transition in terms of like this whole side of humanity that didn't really know how to put words to emotions, to be able to express them. And so that's one. And then the other thing is like, we're not very good at handling our emotions most of the time, like actually having real control and real regulation, like that's mastered. So these are the things that I think humanity has to strive for. Like there's still that end goal. Like we just started to crack the code, relatively speaking, in terms of our ability to identify our emotions and be able to talk to them. Like I think that just kind of really started. Maybe that's just the male in me that's talking, but it's probably just the male in me that's talking, which is a cool thing.
Yeah, definitely. Still sign of good things to come and sign of progress in some way.
Yeah,
for sure, man. I think, and then you use the word handle your emotions. Like if you're not talking about them, it's going to be really difficult for you to handle them. At least handle them in a long-term, like healthy way. Like something could be bothering you, or there could be an emotion there that you shut out of your awareness and you hide it away, but it doesn't mean that it's gone. You know what I mean? It's going to come back to you in a different way at some point. It's just, there's too much weight to it for you not to expect some like counterweight somewhere else, you know?
Yeah, man. Oh, that's, wow. Wait, before we go there though, just because on the emotions thing, like I think that we should talk about how it's more males talk about their emotions and then talk to their kids about emotions. So if males can just take that emotion trait up like 5 to 10%, like if we as across humanity as males did that and met females where they were in their emotional ability, like their ability to talk about emotions, and I think that would be so much better for the planet. And then what that would create is like more compassion, because then the males that are like our age that are understanding this will be able to pass it down to their kids.
For sure.
Because like there's still this limbo generation of like, I come from a household that doesn't have this type of thinking, and like they don't think that this exists. And then, but there's also people our age that came from a household where that was okay. But it's not like we're in the future where this is just commonplace. That's the potential of having this more commonplace conversation where males, females, adults, and children can all have an emotional conversation, and one that's like handled well too.
Yeah, totally. It's not totally normalized yet. There is something, maybe it's not taboo anymore, but you still see it sort of mocked in some way. It's still kind of we're still a little uncomfortable with it. So it's sort of like you hear like, you know, guy movies with like bromances, or there's still kind of parodies of like father son, you know, conversations. Like we like to make a bit of a joke about it because we know it's true, but it's not totally, we're not totally desensitized to how normal it should be yet, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, man, I think we're going to get there. I think a big part of the world changing for us, this may seem unrelated, but it's kind of the internet, dude. Like if you're living in a time where, you know, mass media channels through like a very narrow space and everyone's watching more or less the same content, everyone's like culture is so much more confined to like an institutionalized sort of gated narrative. Like you're going to end up with a lot of people that may feel off inside, may know there's something more out there, but are too afraid to say it because they feel like everyone has fallen under the same umbrella. And they're like the 1960s, there was a whole like hippie subculture, and that was such a big deal to have a subculture. It was like you're not allowed to have a subculture. There's one culture. And now we grew up in in a generation where we're used to there being dozens of subcultures, man. Like musically, in the arts, you know, in terms of I don't know, just slang and everything, fashion. Yeah, we're cool with that.
Yeah. Which is like, it goes back to this like acceptance of the fact that you just being you is automatically different than me, right? Mm-hmm. But we just have to accept it, like, and that acceptance.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, you don't, I think you think about your friends, dude. Like, I feel like I have friends that I would put into lots of different buckets. I don't want to bucket any of them, but if I had to kind of fit them into different subcultures, they're all over the board, dude. And I feel like a lot of people have friends like that. They're all over the board. And that's kind of, I don't know, you know, I think a better way to live, to get exposure to lots of different kinds of people. And it's just a testament to where we are culturally right now, where, you know, people don't have to live, I don't think, so much in their corners anymore.
Yeah.
So at least we can hope.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned Richard Lang was a good, like, one episode that stuck with you recently, but what are your thoughts on like, just in terms of things that stick from episodes?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a couple things that are coming up pretty frequently, and one happens to be psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we had an episode on it,
yeah,
but it's just also coming up in conversations naturally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, I'm starting to see, dude, there's so many ways to go with that. I think it's like, for me, dude, just, I think in some ways, like, psychedelics have lost a bit of the novelty that they had when I was first interested in them in like my early 20s. It's been 10 years since then. And we talked a lot about in the Keith Campbell episode, the idea of like trade openness, like experiencing new things. And I feel like it's not such a new thing anymore, but at the same time, deeper appreciation for the types of doors that can open up and just the mystery that is consciousness. And psychedelics obviously have a very, very unique ability to open a portal into that. So from one end, it's like the psychedelics thing is not as, exciting as it used to be to me, but now there's much more significance there to it,
No, it's true. And like, so I was just pulling up my notes app here because like I write stuff down, but it strikes me that like all the ancient generations and ancient peoples, like they all knew about the one consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is striking because they also would use medicinal ways
mm-hmm.
of connecting as well, right? So it's like there's definitely a connection to the psychedelic world and the consciousness world.
For sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just saying that like it makes you just really appreciate what's going on. And again, going back to the headless way, it's like you're bringing this to life, but the scenes are moving through you.
Mm-hmm.
There's bigger things to this than you're just like day-to-day stresses.
Mm-hmm. For sure, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I finally actually captured that feeling for the first. Maybe I shouldn't say captured because that would suggest like I owned it, which I really didn't. It's like the opposite of owned it, but I felt that feeling for the first time when I was driving back up in the Bay Area. Yesterday. Just the feeling of the street in front of me passing. It was almost like I was consuming the experience. You know what I mean? Like, like it's just, it's like my single eye was like a big open mouth, and the whole world was just coming into it and then disappearing into nothingness.
It's like the Star Wars beginning scene.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
the words are just
right.
Going through you. It's going into nothing.
Right. Exactly, man. Yeah, and I think you said like there's so much going on here that we don't always see in the day to day. It's pretty wild when you think about not only the scene passing through you like that, but just sort of the totality of civilization and the meaning imbued in all these symbols going through you as well. Like when you walk through a mall, dude, just all of those signals, all of those things that are being communicated to you via advertisement and what people are. I mean, there's just so much data, and all of the data is wrapped up in structures of meaning, dude. Everything is symbols when you start to see it like that. Even what I'm wearing now, dude, even like the collar on my shirt, like why is there a collar here?
No, I understand what you're saying. And for me to experience this with you, it's like, why am I here with you in that shirt, me in my shirt? Like, there's a design to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a design to this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point.
Because,
man.
like, you have to think, I mean, if scenes are moving through you, then they were placed there for you to see.
True.
Or for you to experience.
True. Yeah.
If you are like thinking like this, right? Then like it's strategically placed for you to experience what you're experiencing at the time you're experiencing it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that brings up the question though. When people talk about, there being like a randomness to the universe, like a lot of people think there's elements of randomness in the universe. So if you think that you have free will, then in some sense you think that there's a randomness to the universe because there's a number of different potential outcomes that could manifest based on what you chose. So, just say that, like, hey, if you believe in free will, basically you believe in an element of randomness in the universe. What does that really mean about the fact that all of these forms are so well defined? Like, is a lamp really random? Is a keyboard really random? Is the way you look really random? The way I look really random? Or as you said, is there some kind of design?
Yeah, that's matching. And when it matches, it appears.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean.
So what do you want your sign to be to people when you're on the other side, so that person knows that you're there?
Damn, dude, that's
what
a great
do you
question.
Want your sign to be to people when you're on the other side, so that person knows you're there?
Damn, dude.
Like, you're gonna tickle someone's feet?
No, definitely not that. Definitely not that. I do have a story for that, but I'll take it.
But I'm asking this because it ties into like the connection to the other side, and so like these random events, they're not so random because they're like matched to something that's occurring on the other side.
Yeah, I always like the idea of coming back as a gust of wind, dude. That was always one for me.
You want to come back as one gust of wind,
but who's ever ready to receive it, they're gonna know, dude. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like, give me a sign, and then it's the perfectly timed gust of wind. Like, it's not gonna be like, there's not gonna be a windy day, and then they come back as a gust of wind.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's a good answer.
Yeah. How about you, dude?
When I come back, what would my sign be? I feel like I nudge people. Like I give them like little nudges. It's like a tickle or a nudge. Something like that. You'd feel like something.
Yeah, man. I think Well, I don't know. I mean, dude, that's the question. Do you think that you'll actually be in a position to deliver that message?
Yeah, so I got turned on to Laura Lynn Jackson recently,
Hmm.
and she's like someone who can connect to the other side. And I just started getting into this. I was very skeptical at 1st,
Mm-hmm.
but my wife was like, yo, this is real. And then we were listening to her audiobook on the way up, and the examples there are very real. And so it started to get me to think about like, well, in terms of consciousness and stuff like that, it can't be random because on the other side, so there's an example of like a kid, his name was Caleb. And even as a child, he used to like tell his parents, like, yo, I don't think I'm going to make it to like 6 years old.
Mm.
Right. And like when he was 5, he got into an accident. Story is that he ends up dying.
Wow.
Right. But Caleb is communicating apparently to the family and is like saying things like, yo, on the other side, it's like so free. I can be light and dark. I could be everywhere and anything. It's like being in space, but infinitely better. So there's like stories about this, and like I know it sounds kind of wonky,
No.
especially from me. I don't know anything about this. I just got introduced to this lady like 3 days ago, and I'm just saying like it just gets you thinking about, okay, if there is another side, then in terms of randomness of events, it's not so random if all that aligns.
Oh yeah, dude. I think if there is an afterlife, if you actually die, and if you're just given like any indication at that moment that you're going to keep going on, that like there is a soul, your body's gone, but you're still there. I feel like from that point on, there just would be nothing to fear, dude. And it would, whatever that afterlife is, to know that we're more than like this material world. That's all you need to know that everything's all right, I guess.
Well, she got me hooked early by saying it's not like when you die, your consciousness dies. She's like, your consciousness stays. So that got me thinking like your spirit stays, your energies stay. And we've talked about this in the past. Like you can go, once you leave, you go back as energy. And in that drift, you're either going to be drifting because you had good karma and you'll be lightly drifting around, or you might be drifting like what feels like through like quicksand because you've had bad karmas. But on that drift back to the cosmos, in my opinion, the way I've been thinking about it is you either get picked up by another being, so your spirit gets picked up by another being, or you make it actually back to the stars. But what's crazy about all that is that that means that like you disperse yourself. So like if so I'm in this completeness right now, right? I start dissipating. Some of my spirit gets picked up in a being. Some of my spirit continues. It's not like all of my spirit goes to another being. So like some of you is in everything in that way. Because it's like you're spreading your spirit through other living things, or it goes north to heaven, or it goes down to what you might want to call hell, right? Because of how light or heavy your karma is. Does it make it back to the cosmos or not? And on the way back to the cosmos, does it get picked up by another being or not? And then when it gets picked up, is it getting completely picked up, or is it just a piece of you getting picked up? And so are you like your form today is just a piece of so many other forms that came together. And when you go away, you're going to give your pieces back. If that, you know what I mean? Like
I totally get what you're saying. I guess my question is, would you rather be picked up by another being or another couple, few, 10, 20 beings, or would you rather go straight to heaven? Because I know that in like, in a lot of religious traditions, the karmic traditions, the idea is once you've completed what you need to complete, you transcend to the highest level. But I think the interesting question is like, we couldn't conceptualize what the highest level would be. I kind of like just being alive, dude.
I love being alive.
Flawed as this whole thing
I love
is,
being alive.
I would kind of keep taking the rotation of being different things.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Table stakes, bro.
Yeah.
I love being alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's so trippy, man, to think dude, I had this thought when I was like maybe like 15 of being a 15-year-old in like ancient Rome and just like it was a weird sort of image of like my parents coming in from the farm, but they weren't my parents. They were like this
Right.
random ancient
Right.
kid in Rome. And I was like, dude, he saw his parents. And if it was a daughter, she saw her parents with the same like clarity and presence and realness that I see mine. You hear about ancient Rome, hear about a place 2,000, thousands of years ago, thousands of years old. It seems almost surreal in some ways. It seems like it didn't happen. It seems like they weren't as real as we are. But it's like, yo, dude, that was a contemporary family at the time in ancient Rome. That was as new as it was, dude. They weren't ancient Rome; they were Rome, dude. This is a bustling city. This is like the frontier of civilization. Now I see it as like, a pile of like half preserved ruins.
And they all saw face to no face.
Yeah.
They all had the one eye vision out of their center.
Yeah.
Just like I do today.
Yeah.
By the way, you said something about like getting to heaven. Just wrap that.
Yeah.
I'll just say, what if you don't make it to heaven until you lived out all your karmas and you're just carrying karmas over and over and over again? Let's say you rack up like 100 karmas. You have to live 100 lives to get to the final destination. You have to just knock off a karma with each life.
Well, I guess that's what I don't understand about karma. Is karma necessarily good or necessarily bad, or is it just a thing that you have to play out as the like belief goes? You know what I mean?
I mean,
it could be anything.
To me,
right?
It's just be a good person. To me, it's like, what did we read today? It was like, act in a way so that you can be honest about the way you act.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Dude. Great line. That's from the Jordan Peterson placard over my sink. But yeah, dude, it's true, man. I mean, you can do that. Act in a way where you can be honest with yourself, where you can be honest with other people, where you can be honest with that universal judge, if there is one, or whatever form it takes.
Right.
Like, I mean, almost any time you do something wrong that you know is wrong, you subconsciously sort of play attorney for yourself. But if you can get to a point where even when you make mistakes, if you're honest about those failures for being what they are, failures, then man, that's
at the end of the day, you still have to be able to look at them in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't identify with the face, right? We're talking about headless way. You still have to identify with like, that is me. I still am responsible for my actions and my thoughts and my words.
Mm-hmm.
Like you still have a way about doing things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, the way that Richard Lang referred to himself as Richard. It's like, well, when I know what will happen when Richard dies. To hear him talk about himself dying in the third person, that really struck me, man.
Well, that's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. That's what struck me about Laura Lynn Jackson, because then she says that the consciousness goes on. So Arjun is gone, but the consciousness, the oneness that I'm experiencing right now will go. Mm-hmm. It keeps going.
Mm-hmm. When you think about it, dude, if this consciousness is part of something, maybe it's part of everything, maybe it's part of parts of different beings throughout history, maybe it's part of all beings, whatever it is, to just think about the fact that you aren't wholly Arjun, like you aren't totally Arjun, that's almost all you need. It's like, yeah, like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
just like rocks are made up of like so many different elements that came together,
right?
We're also made up of so many different elements that came together. Yeah. And when we leave, we're going to give those elements right back.
Yeah, totally, dude. Totally. I had the experience when I was reading Hierarchy of Heaven and Earth. Douglas Harding is like much more, spends a lot of time talking about like how cellular life becomes molecular life, becomes, organs become organisms, and kind of takes you from like the beginning seeds of life on the planet Earth to where we are now, which is super complex organism. I mean, Jesus, like, you have 2 eyes, you have nostrils, teeth, like bones sticking out of your like meat in your face to eat food. I mean, we're like really wired up with a lot of like great evolutionary devices we inherited. And when I was reading that book, I was just like, dude, I keep saying like me, I, as if like I like self created, as if I was responsible for building this person. It's like I didn't make hands, dude. I
Right.
didn't make a face. I didn't make the heart in my chest that's making this whole thing operate. I didn't create my brain. Like, yeah, you make decisions over the course of your life, but dude, you're making it with a machine that you had no part in building.
Yeah, but it's a machine that's perfectly built.
Exactly.
It needs to be taken. You need to be using all of the features
Yeah. Yeah.
of this. The real technology is the brain, dude.
Oh, dude.
We're
really
just
is.
walking pieces of technology.
Mm-hmm.
We have the best system. It's in our freaking noggins. It's our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs to be optimized and maximized. And dude, we're having some whiskey right now. We're just chilling, right? It's not like we're perfect. It's not like I haven't done anything that hasn't destroyed my operating system, right?
Yeah,
but
sure.
let's just say like, let's do less of that, because you want your operating system to be at peak performance so that you can experience the full potential of this existence, dude.
Totally, man. Yeah, no, totally, dude. And I think it takes a little bit of age to appreciate that this is like, this really is the vessel that you're walking through the world with. And like, yeah, you're not going to be perfect. It's not, it's not like, so go out and be, like a physical fitness guru. It's more just like, so don't do anything stupid that would significantly cut short the amount of years this body is going to be working for you and offering all it has to offer, dude. Don't squander that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't treat it like shit.
But you can add to it by like eating right, working out.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, dude, it's, again, I think that's how it all comes back to just the shift in perspective. That's where this whole thing comes back to. It's like this idea that, are you maximizing your time? Are you maximizing this window?
Dude, tell me more. I would love to revisit the idea of time. So like, if we could just double back to going back to what, episode 3?
Think about time differently.
Can you like unpack that for me again?
Yeah. So events exist in time. Time exists in events. So my point is that like the event is what exists in what we are calling time. It's the period that's time, right? It's like when I remember things, I'm not remembering that it was 6:31 on a Monday evening. I'm remembering what took place, which is that me and you were chatting and recording a dope episode.
Yeah.
So I'm remembering the event. I'm not remembering the time.
Oh, I get it, dude. Time is, if anything, just a fucking number.
Not man-made, dude.
Yeah.
It's man-made. And that's what I'm saying. Events exist in time. But I was doing a play on words. Like, events exist in time. Time exists in events. Events, existence, time? Time, existence, events? It's too correlated to me. It's too correlated to me. But yeah, no, like, so you just remember events. You're not remembering the time. So the whole idea was to encourage thinking around making your lifespan as eventful as possible, filled with memorable events. And not getting worried about like the time or the day of the week, or like, the problem with that is that we're surrounded by technology, so we always know what time it is. And that's why it also feels like it's moving fast and faster. It's because we're always being told what time it is. So it always feels like it's moving 100 miles an hour. But I'm saying get rid of that. Forget that and just make it eventful. Do things throughout the day. Or even like if you have to, like, if you're at work, make it eventful at work in a way where it's like memorable for people. Like, so Have a memorable moment with the coworkers or something like that. Have a memorable moment with like one of your clients. Like do something that can like create a story around it. Don't just go through another Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can go through another Tuesday, but I'm saying, what did you remember from your Tuesday?
Right.
Because when I ask you what you remember, you're going to tell me about the event. You're not going to tell me about Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't really care when it happened. I mean, if you think about it, there's nothing really to describe with time. Like all you're going to tell someone is about
Time
the
is for
content
order.
that made up. Yeah.
It's just to provide order, dude.
Yeah.
Tell me where to be at what time.
Right.
So that there's organization.
Yeah, totally. And dude, and you think about it too, like to your point about technology speeding things up, everyone has those days where they're totally unplugged. Usually it requires like being out in nature, dude, to really like put the phone down now.
Yeah.
But when you get out in nature and you're out there for 4 or 5 hours and you haven't looked at your phone in all that time, no text, no email, you know, maybe you're only with a couple other people, like when the end of the day comes and that sun starts setting, you really feel the length of the day. Like, wow, you know, we really were here and something happened. And I wasn't racing against the clock the whole time because there wasn't any clock. So, you know, if that's what it takes, man, if it just takes nature to break free from our devices, then shit, let's take advantage of it, you know?
You know, one thing that we do is sunsets with the Sach steps.
Nice.
And so what I like to do is gather the fam for as many sunsets as possible and just make sure that we see it together. Even Buster, it's like, Buster, look at the sunset.
Nice.
He looks, he knows what's up.
Nice.
But again, the event.
Right.
These are events.
Right.
And then at the same time, it reminds you of, hey, it's a nice little friendly reminder of like, hey, how was today for me?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. Just, that's what I'm saying. It's like so easy to look at it in a lens that's like this because you're in a situation where you don't have full autonomy over things, right? So it's like you have to kind of look through like such a lot of people have to look through a narrow lens because they don't have the ability to just be like, oh, I'm going to just try whatever I want to do. So like, it's also like a really friendly reminder personally when I'm like, I'm very lucky right now. I could just have a podcast like this and just do this.
Totally, dude. Yeah, totally. It's like the character from Benjamin Lore, dude, from Sea Life for Groceries. Imagine being a slave on a fishing ship for 20 years right now. I mean, that's a life someone actually is living, dude. When I read that, it was like, you know, it just like hit me like a bag of hammers over the head. Like, I can't complain about anything, dude, because that person that is on that ship right now is just as fucking on as me and you, dude. They are a human being on. They're not a story. They're not a, you know, chapter in a book, dude. They are on like we are, man. And they are in that absolutely fucked, unfair position, dude. And for us to...
But you know what? Let's give that dude a shout out in the book because now he's existed for us to realize this. He's on this planet for me and you to be able to talk about how grateful we should be, dude.
That's a hell of a sacrifice for him to make, though, if you think about it.
Well, that's what we're all part of the same, dude. That's what I'm saying. Everything's connected to that. We are all one.
Yeah.
This is one huge, huge community. And this community goes back millennia, dude. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? The roots to this thing are so deep.
So deep,
that
dude.
Us trying to figure it out is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But when you can see a sign like that, where that dude existed, for a story to be written about him, for us to be able to then share his story so that other people can feel a certain way, including like I can feel a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah. In a sense, dude, I feel like the heaven and hell never really made a lot of sense to me because if you only have one life, it's like, how can someone who's been dealt one very specific hand be told to either go to like eternal bliss or like eternal damnation. But I really like the idea of reincarnation that you brought up earlier, because the only thing that really makes any moral, heaven and hell don't really make any moral sense. What would make moral sense is that we live through a lot of different beings, and there's different you experience everything. You experience suffering, you experience bliss, you experience bad luck, good luck. In one life you're crippled, in one life you're athletic, whatever the binaries are. Like, that's the only real thing that would make any just sense, dude, in my mind.
Yeah, it's like we live each other's lives.
Yeah.
And like that shared existence and that shared experience.
Mm-hmm. I know, it is really.
So, what did you have for lunch today?
Yeah. I have a real question. Yeah, man.
Dude, I also wanted to say shout out to Tessa specifically. I'm gonna say that out loud.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, dude. Because she definitely has held it down and definitely like allowed for the space for this to happen. So I'll just quickly say that here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out Tessa, dude.
Word. But yo, cheers to that. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about is I want to think about ABCs differently. Yeah, dude. ABC, first thing that pops in your mind, many people might be like, always be closing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking any better chance.
Any better chance?
So know what gives you any better chance. Understand your ABCs in that way. What are the things that are going to give me any better chance to have a more forceful existence? So I'm just kind of thinking about ABCs a little bit differently. And like sharing your ABCs with people. So if I know things that are giving me any better chance to thrive, then I want to be able to share that. If you're going through that, I want you to share that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, share your ABCs with people. Share your any better chances. Tell me about your any better chance. In other words, tell me about your thing that's going to give me any better chance to do better.
Right.
So I was just thinking about like ABCs. It's not always be closing. It's fucking
any better chance.
Any better chances, dude.
Like, dude, I like that a lot, man. And that applies to a lot of different things. There's a lot of change, like little changes you can make to twist the dials in different parts of your life, and that's everyone's gonna have different goals. Everyone's gonna have different places they want to get, but chances are you meet any one person, there's gonna be some overlap in things you're working on.
Right. Again, because we're all going through the same thing.
Yeah, you're not going to find someone that's like, yeah, I have entirely different concerns than you do. It's like, maybe, but like, I doubt it, dog. Like, there's going to be something. At the very least, you both have a body.
Yeah.
I
know. It's like, that's what used to crack me up about my previous life. It's like, from my conversations with other people in your situation, I know they may be dealing with these three things, and then you would hear like, "No, not me." It's like talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I know, that was tough. It's like, oh, really?
But that's what I'm saying. So my point is that then, like, having the wherewithal to be able to just bring that back to like, we are actually connected in a way. So if I were in my previous role and I was where I am today in terms of how I'm thinking, I would use it to my advantage of people saying things to me like that. Because then I would be able to be like, yo, this is my opportunity to teach this homie about the headless way. And let me see if I can use that as a way to create a bond instead of me coming at with like the insight that I think I know about this person's world, even if I've dealt with people in that person's world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like being able to use that in those tough situations, being able to relate to somebody maybe it's not the headless way because that's an extreme example, but I'm talking about finding another way to actually create the connection with the human.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. In a way that's honest too.
In a way that's honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kind of commercial connection creation, if you want to call it that.
That's what I'm talking about, like sports. Like you're talking about sports, but it's like, what if I don't like sports?
Yeah. And what if you're asking about my family, but I know that you don't really care about my family and maybe we're not there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so I think you got to put some of yourself on the table to get something in return. I think there's a lot of like fishing, and I do this too. It's like you're in a new relationship with someone, or you're in a new relationship in like the work context, even like you think that asking questions and learning about them can build a connection. It can help them become more open with you. I think way more powerful than asking a question is saying something about yourself that they see, dude. Because if you ask them a question, without offering any part of yourself up to them, then all you've really done is kind of put them in the hot seat and put them in a position to be vulnerable with you when you haven't put any skin in the game yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like to build a connection with people, questions are important, but you also got to be willing to fucking share some of who you are with them to expect some of them in return.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like how that would play itself out
in like a sales conversation
or any conversation.
Yeah,
you're trying to put yourself in their shoes, or at least reveal something about yourself that then reveals something about them.
Yeah,
but that's when I think you have to, like, let's say you're at an event or something. Say at the same event. Say you're all at like a baseball game, and you're meeting someone for the first time. I think the way I would go about it was like I'd probably drop a stat about baseball, or like something about like, oh, this is one of my favorite baseball stadiums, and here's why. Because one of the things is like growing up in New Jersey, a lot of the West Coast baseball stadiums were always fascinating. Like I always pictured myself being at these games at like AT&T Park in San Francisco, or like Petco in San Diego, right? So that's how I would be like, oh, then in that conversation, what did they reveal? What did they learn about me? That I'm from the East Coast, that I like baseball, and that like, I can start up a conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. You said like share with them your favorite baseball stadium. Like the difference between you not sharing your baseball stadium and then asking them, what's your baseball stadium? And then you sharing them, what your favorite is, and then asking that question, I feel like it's night and day, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're one of the things we probably both heard in our former lives was that like you're in a good position if the person you're talking to is talking more than you are, dude. Like if you're in an endless, the conversation isn't going well if you're asking one question after the other.
Right.
But if like, you're sharing something, they're sharing something, you almost know the conversation is going really well when there are no question marks, when you're just talking, dude.
But you know what though? Questions can actually, like a funny question, start a conversation. I know what you're trying to say in terms of like, if you're really trying to connect with someone and really want them to reveal something about themselves, you kind of got to put a little of your skin in the game too.
Yeah. In terms of finding the rhythm of the conversation.
Yeah.
But questions are definitely helpful in terms of like getting the ball rolling down the hill for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Remember when we just used to ask each other questions, like in our early episodes, those first 10?
I know.
First 10, right?
First 10, yeah.
What an experience, dude.
It was a very interesting experience. I mean, I think we both talked a lot in our lives. We both talked a lot with each other, but it's something very different when, when I think the difference with podcasting versus just having a entirely normal unrecorded conversation is that there needs to be a little bit of like a through line through segments of the dialogue. You can't just go one thing. Can't be too discursive. You need to be able to kind of deliver a back and forth on an idea, and it becomes challenging when you don't necessarily have like a prefab idea on a given subject. When you're like sitting across from me and asking me a question that I haven't thought about, and I'm it's talking to a microphone. Same likewise with you when I ask you a question, or when any podcaster asks another podcaster a question and they haven't thought about it and they're talking to a microphone and they have to come up with something coherent. It's it makes for interesting material sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, I got an update from like one of the early episodes about the time one actually.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we were talking about attoseconds at that time?
Mm-hmm.
As being like shortest interval.
Yeah.
Do you know that just like a month or so ago, they discovered the zeptosecond?
No.
Yeah, dude. The zeptosecond is even like a smaller measurement of time. So going back to like time, you asked me about events and time, what exists.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically going towards a world where scientists are showing you that time barely exists. They're proving it with the zeptosecond, that it barely exists. It's a trillionth of a billionth of a second, or that's a decimal point followed by 20 zeros and a 1. That's how
a decimal point followed by 20 zeros
and a 1. That's a zeptosecond. It's a trillionth of a billionth of a second. And so I'm just trying to tie all this back in to science is proving time basically doesn't.
That unit of time?
It's like space between electrons or something.
Got it. So it's the smallest event ever. Basically, the smallest amount of time is the smallest event ever.
Basically.
Like the electron moving.
So the event exists.
Exactly. You're defining the time based on the event. It's not really so much the smallest unit of time, right? It's like the smallest event.
Smallest
the shortest
span
event
available.
Yeah.
Is
for an
a
event
trillionth of a billionth of a second.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Well, it actually brings us something that I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about our bodies and evolution and where we're at now after hundreds of millions of years of being cellular life. It's interesting that time doesn't feel like it's moving too fast or too slow. Yeah, you can feel like you're short on time. Like technology will make you feel like the day is getting away from you. But I don't feel like time is like lagging on, and I don't feel like it's going too fast. If we were a honeybee and we felt our wings flapping that fast, we'd be freaked out. It's like time. I'm not supposed to move this fast. Or hummingbird, we're not conditioned for those many events in that little of a time. But like evolutionarily in the human body, yeah, we can run really fast, or I don't know, blink really fast, or play an instrument really quickly, but none of it overwhelms our system. But if our arms started flapping as fast as a hummingbird's wings flapped, that would be seriously disconcerting.
For sure.
So yeah,
doesn't really feel like the holidays though, right?
Not this year, no, definitely not. It but you know what? In some ways, it feels like it doesn't feel like the holidays, but it still feels sentimental in a way.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like this isn't going to be the Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's season that everyone's used to, but it's an important time of year to be with family, and people will remember being with their family if they're fortunate enough to do so.
Yeah.
This time, because it's just been such an off year.
Yeah. Connectedness.
Totally, dude. Yeah, totally. How do you think that? Do you think that turning the calendar into 2021 is going to offer people a mental reset, or do you think the people that are already kind of running low in the gas tank are going to be even like further challenged by the new year?
So it's interesting because I hear people say like, I can't wait for 2021. As if things are going to change significantly. But then to me, that tells me that answer is already baked in. Like,
because if they're feeling good about it, then it's going to be better.
Right.
It's January 1 for no reason. January 1's going to come. People will be like, The 2021, let's go.
There's an element of that, but there's also the element of the person who's saying, hey, I can't wait for 2021. To me, that mentality is like, you're always going to not be able to wait for the next thing.
Mm. Oh, you're playing it from the other way.
And so it's like, if you can't wait, what can't you wait for 2021? I can't wait for 2021 because I'm going to start my business, or I can't wait for 2021 because I think I'm going to stop watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is actually going to change, right? And so my point is that if you haven't taken that leap of doing something for yourself in this year when everything was just a mess, what makes you think that in 2021 it's just going to be like the light switch turns on? We already know how hard it is to get your momentum going as a human being.
Yeah.
You just put off an entire year.
Yeah.
You've been waiting now for 2021 probably since June of this year. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait for next year. Like, yo, that means in your mind, you're already baked in, dude. 2021 should have been 2021 already for you then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. January 2021 is not January 2020. That's time that's already in the history books. And January 2021 is not January 2030. So what do you want to do between now and January 30 to make that scroll tell a different story? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do think that there will be a whole cohort of people that were come January. There will be like, oh, 2021, I'm going to bang out this year. 100%. There's going to be those people. But I'm just saying, like, for the people that, like, there's more people that are not going to do anything. I shouldn't say not do anything because that's the status quo.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
obviously you're doing something.
Everyone's doing something.
Yeah, everyone's doing something, and yes, and everyone's acknowledged all that. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, like, the quote unquote risk. When you're gonna press like the eject button, just like kind of go for it. Worry about yourself. I'm worried about me, man. I'm just do whatever the fuck I want to do. Yeah,
I feel you, man. I feel you. The only person you have control over is yourself.
Yeah, but like it's interesting because it's a new perspective on being able to like talk about this experience.
Well, so how do you think about the idea of connecting with people, but also only really taking responsibility or fretting over your own actions? So in some sense, I feel more connected with people than ever, but in another sense, I'm at a place now where I realize I can't control the behavior of people around me. So there's this sort of, in one sense, you know, I'm less of who I am than I was before, but in another sense, I'm less emotionally invested in the behavior of other people. So it's kind of an interesting give and take there. You know what I mean?
Because you give yourself away, man. You give yourself away to other people when you network. And when you do that, there's less for you to like really be concerned about. You're only concerned about yourself
the more people that you bring into your orbit, you know, it's like
it makes it easier to be more concerned about yourself in a way, because it's like, I know like I have now 20 perspectives around me, but I'm going to be in charge of this one perspective and still respect all the other perspectives. And in that conversation, in those interactions, I'm giving myself away. I'm like giving it away, right? And now I'm just at a point where it's like, it feels like it doesn't matter what's going on over here.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. Like you're saying it's not giving your way in the phony way that sometimes it feels like you're giving yourself away when you're putting on a face for people.
Right.
You know, and I've had that, you know, for a number of years in my life where I really do feel like I'm giving a part of my essence away.
I'm not giving my soul. If anything, my soul is stronger.
It's just offering secrets to different people in what you hope will be sort of their secrets in return. It's not transactional though. It's sort of, I'm giving myself to you.
I think
you
one
give
of the
yourself
coolest,
to me, so be it.
I think one of the coolest things is to actually like provide a piece of advice, follow up on that advice, and just see how it transitioned, see where it went.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's pretty cool. It's like, yeah, all right, move on with the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man.
This makes, it's like, honestly, we're very lucky to be able to just talk like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is the world puts a muzzle on you, man. Nothing that we've really said is that out there or that controversial, but there are a lot of people in situations that can't even say this pretty harmless stuff.
Yeah. What would you say your word of the year is, dude? Like, what's your word of the year?
I would say my word of the year. Ooh, that's a great question. I would probably say it's numinous, dude. Numinous. So it's like a word that Carl Jung used a lot to describe like the divinity that people would see in things around them. And I like the way he used it because it was sort of talk about that. You mentioned a family member earlier talking about describing their experience being able to play in both light and dark. That's the way I see numinous. Numinous experiences can be both light and the dark because sometimes numinous experiences can be totally honest and they can be born out of like an honest connection with something, like a piece of music that really speaks to you. You see yourself in it. It digs it's in you, like you're of it, and there's something beautiful there. But then in other situations when numinous experiences are born out of people's projections, it can be more sort of born out of like an obsession with something. So people want to think that they need to have X level of success in terms of money or status or even in the arts. It's like I need to be featured in this magazine. Numinous sort of aspirations can be born out of people's egos in big ways too.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you think that one thing will bring you into like everlasting bliss, but really it was like the dark side of numinosity, and it was just you pinning everything on this one false god.
Right.
So I don't know, that was my word of the year.
That's like if this goes right, then my life will be great.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
If the calendar is January 2021, then life will be great.
Exactly. December 2020 and January 2021, the world is going to dawn anew. That's the feeling, dude. I'm in the apocalypse now, but it's going to be the second coming of Christ, so to speak, January 2021. So like, no, it's going to be the same fucking shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same shit.
Yeah.
But you hold it up as this ideal in your mind, So what about you, dude? What's your word of the year?
Wait, dude, think about how powerful that was just now. We talked about people looking forward to Jan 2021 and the whole mindset there. Then I asked you, what's your favorite or what's your word of the year? And you dropped that. And it describes what we just spoke about.
Dude, wow. There's got to be a connection there, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah, sit on that for a second. Because
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the false expectation of paradise because you're miserable now, dude. If you're the more you shouldn't take your fantasies to be a like barometer of the future. You should take them to be a barometer of like how upset or miserable you are now, dude.
Right. Take your temperature now.
Yeah, take the temperature now, bro. If you're lost in fantasy, it's because you're not happy. So
and such a chance. You're saying that 2021 things are going to be better, but it's a 50-50 shot. It's either going to be good or bad, or actually it's not, because like 33%, 33%, 33%, it's going to be good, same, or bad.
Right. Yeah.
So you got a 30% chance, bro.
Yeah.
So you're taking a shot on a chance here that 2021 is going to be work in your favor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
then the second you don't see it as a guarantee, it stops becoming a chance. The second you realize that I'm going to be the one who decides when tomorrow is better, that's when it starts becoming a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So you literally have to give yourself the chance.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Otherwise, you're just rolling the fucking dice, dude.
Always.
Yeah. So what's your word of the year?
Well, I guess like I've been talking about mudita a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you feel joy you feel joy in yourself when you see joy in others.
Yeah.
But like recently I was thinking about it as like network. Network, man. Because not only in terms of networking, like in terms of the people that like how we've been talking about, but even when we were on with Dr. Campbell, he started talking about how we're going to go from a hierarchy to more of a network system. That's where I started really piecing everything together in terms of network also being like a key word for 2020 personally.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the most powerful things. Obviously, everyone knows about the strength of a network. I'm just saying that for some reason, I feel like 2020 is the year where you separated yourself in your networking game. Because not every platform is going to have the same influence that it does right now. Like platforms also change, right? So your ability to connect is going to maybe change.
That is very true.
Future,
very, very true.
Right?
So yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, so that's like your ability to connect in the future may be different. So, and because you're rolling the dice on the future, it's like, what am I doing today to give myself any better chance to do well? It's networking.
Yeah, it's really like all these people are passing by you, and there's these like little open windows that are. It's almost like they're coming by you on a conveyor belt, and there's all these sort of like snapping open windows. And at some points in their life, they won't get back to you. There might be someone out there right now that's open, and you have the opportunity to connect with them. And in a year's time, that window will close, and you could send them the exact same email that you sent them this year, and they would not be receptive to it by no fault of their own. Like they have maybe have other shit going on in their lives at that point, at that point in time. But while you're here and while that window is open, dude, get into as many different people as you can.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I think that's a really powerful word of the year, for sure. For sure. What have you learned about? So this is the first time that we've reached out to people asking them to be on our podcast. We both were in sales for a number of years, you longer than I, and that was about putting a product in front of someone. What has your experience been putting the opportunity for a platform in front of them in terms of making that first point of contact?
Well, I'll say first and foremost that like everything I learned has set me up for success today. So the ability to go out and get people, I think, is something that's a product of my previous experience. What's unique now is that it's a feeling. We're talking about providing a platform that is going to shift people's perspectives and make them feel more fascinated about themselves and the world we live in. So to me, that's a pretty incredible thing, because as I mentioned, just by you being you, you're already unique. So you're going to have something to offer. So what's interesting now is that we have the ability to bring on authors and people that are in different industries, and they all have experience to share with us. So for me, it's been like a mind expanding thing. And it's like, I have so much more of an open heart to everything because of it.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is like realizing how much time people have committed to their pursuits.
Oh, yeah, in that sense, like when you realize that somebody's written a book, researched it for like 5 years, or has been a professor for decades, got
Yeah,
tenure.
yeah. Or someone like Richard Lang, who's committed the last 40 years of his life to a way of life. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of events.
Yeah. So again, it kind of puts in perspective because we've been doing this for 20 some odd weeks,
Yeah, right.
and people have been doing things for years,
Years.
right? But I think one of the things I'm gonna definitely take away so far, in terms of like one big thing that stuck for me, is like taking complex things and breaking it down into simpler problems or simpler sentences, I should say. I think like moving forward in terms of just the algorithm shifts that I'm making in my mind, it's around that.
Mm.
So 2021 is already happening in my brain in terms of like shifting algorithms around and how I want to think about complex things and how I want to be able to take that, break it down, figure out a couple of smaller components, chip away at things, and just not feel overwhelmed. So the rewiring there is kind of taking place.
Mm. So it's interesting that you said chop it down into smaller problems, and then you said instead chop it down into smaller sentences. What do you mean about?
Yeah, because I don't want to. Nothing's a problem.
Mm, mm,
They're just things. It's just.
They're just way of.
That's just what it is.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not a problem.
Right.
It's a problem because I just label it as a problem.
Right. Yeah.
It just is. What if you're like, what if the bus broke down to work every day? It wouldn't be a problem. Like that would just be it. You know what I mean?
That's just what happened. Yeah.
You
right.
know what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly what you're trying to say, dude. That's exactly what Punkage talked about. In episode 12, 11, 12, right? Yeah. 12, man. You know, he's talking about being uncomfortable. And when we hear the word uncomfortable, we say, oh, now I'm uncomfortable. And there's all this like feeling attached to the word that infects us when we hear it. But he's like, well, why, when I hear uncomfortable, don't I just think, yeah, I'm uncomfortable right now?
Oh,
or it's like when I'm working right now, instead of thinking like, oh, I'm working right now, why don't I just think I'm working right now?
I'm playing
right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to your point, yeah.
So I've thought about this. Like,
yeah,
it's all about labels, right? So like, even like when I was younger, dude, I used to be like, dude, they just told us that this is black. What if they told me my whole life this was green?
you would have accepted it.
So it goes back to like, what do you label it as? You're labeling it as a problem. You're labeling it as work. You're labeling it as fun. What are you labeling it as?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. So going back to the
totally.
algorithm rewiring, it's like something that seems so overwhelming, and I'm easily flustered. If you know me, I'm like, oh, I used to be. I'm working on it, but like, yeah, I'm an emotional person, so like, I'll get my emotions ahead of myself sometimes, right? But my point is, take whatever is taking place and break that down, and that's just the point. You're like, none of this shit matters, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, dude, yeah, that's one of the things that reminds me of something that what it reminded me of was of the importance of saying things out loud. You think something is so serious when you're just playing it over on repeat in your head. You think it's so important and so valid. But sometimes when you just literally bring whatever you're stressed out about into the world through your speech, you can see it for the kind of silly thing that it is, you know?
And then laugh it off.
And then laugh it off.
Indy would tell you.
Laugh it off. Exactly, man. You don't have to make it such a serious thing. Maybe it's bothering you a little bit, you know, maybe it is a problem. Maybe you do have to work on it.
Yeah.
But as he said, you know, it's like just look at it and go, I'm late, like
laugh about it.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because like, when do you take a problem seriously then? When is it serious then?
I think it's serious when it involves other people and when it's something that might not totally be in your control.
Hmm.
So if you know in your heart of hearts that with a little bit of discipline or a little bit of deliberate action, you can change something, and it hasn't gotten to a point where it's hurting other people, then it's like really not that big of a deal. Just make the adjustment. But if there's something that's out of your control that you need to like defer to other people to get back in control, and at the same time you hurt other people, that's like, damn, you got a problem.
That's a recipe for a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I would say the one thing I do hope for in 2021 is that for people to not have so many quote unquote problems. And I really hope that we all are able to be more compassionate. I really hope that we just like support each other, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's nothing better than supporting someone else, dude.
There really isn't.
It's pretty cool. I've surrendered to the cosmos. Man.
Yeah.
And for me, that means like whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen, and it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just watching this film occur.
Mm-hmm.
This is my film, though.
Well, so that's the question. Are you writing the story, or is it writing you?
It's writing me. Because I'll tell you that this entire experience has changed me. Like doing this podcasting thing and taking the leap of faith that I did, making the sacrifices, all that stuff. Like that was put in place for me to become who I am right now.
And that is, you didn't shape the event so much as the event shaped you, kind of thing.
It's kind of like both are working together more in synergy. Because in a way I shaped the events of like, did I shape the events?
That's the question, right? I don't know. And I think I might be okay with not having shaped the events. But I feel like I am the event, so it doesn't really matter who's shaping who.
Right? Exactly. So that's why it feels like you're in control and out of control at the same time, because it's so hard to wrap your mind around the fact that you are the event.
Yeah, so it's like,
you are
making it. It's making me. It's like, no, bro, you just are it.
Yo, that is it. You are the existence.
Yeah, you are it. Wow.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Wow.
I love that.
I love that too, dude. I don't think we have to say anything more than that.
Dude.
I think that's a good place to leave 2020, man.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.